Hi guys, got a big one for you today because today we are playing the Pelennor Fields scenario from Gondor at War. Right, so this is one we've been talking about in my little group for quite a while. It finally came around and we were able to all get together for most of a day and play through the scenario with 7 of us. So I literally just finished printing off the walls of Minas Tirith like a few weeks ago, and then probably with me sort of doing about 20% of the work with Mr. Thomas Denny doing 80%. We managed to get them all the walls painted up so they serve as a nice backdrop. But yeah, there's just one small bit of housekeeping is the video is not going to be in the normal format, which is that I try to show as much of the game as possible whilst fast forwarding through, the more sort of boring bits like moving models around that you don't need to watch in real time. This one's going to be a bit different because I think basically to do that sort of thing, firstly the video will probably be about like 5 hours long. Secondly, it would probably have to be spread over multiple sort of sittings to film the whole thing. And yeah, I'm not sure that's the kind of sort of time we had to put into it really. So we're gonna have some of my commentary over the video more than blow by blow account of the whole thing. But hopefully you guys still find it interesting. And then just another small note of housekeeping is I had one file in the middle of the game which you'll see, because I think it's missing the top third. But basically, yes, due to things that are probably my fault in terms of taking the memory card out before he had finished writing the data from the previous video. So I didn't realise I needed to leave it in for a few seconds for it to finish what it's doing. I think I sort of switched it over a bit quickly. A whole file got corrupted, which was about 25-30 minutes of game. I managed to use some really obscure method to recover it, but it didn't recover it super well. But there'll be a bit of a drop in quality for a little bit of the video in the middle. But yeah, still very much watchable and enjoyable. And since it's such a big scenario, I'm obviously putting an extract from the book up for you guys to have a look at. But I won't go through the models because there's like a lot of models. But the main things to remember are the Mumakil and Men of Harad come on the end of turn 5 from the southern board edge. The Witch King comes on from the northern board edge turn 7. There's basically 5 objectives. So there's 7 heroes of the west. So if more of them are dead than alive, evil score. If more of them are alive, obviously good score. So same goes for the Servants of the Dark Lord. If 4 or more are still alive, evil score that. Mumakil, good side needs to kill all the Mumakil, otherwise evil side score that. Gates of Minas Tirith, whoever has more within 12 inches of the gates at the end of the game scores that point. And then Pelennor, there's 4 objectives you'll see dotted around the field in all the 4 corners. Again, whoever controls more of those scores that one. So it's basically those 5 objectives. Seeing how we split that. In terms of the game, I think the book actually kind of suggests you just sort of block out as much time as you can and you play until a set turn limit or until you sort of run out of time basically. So in this case, I think we've got to turn. I think we finished at turn 11. It kind of seemed like it was naturally concluding a bit, so we called it a day there. Also been gaming for like 8 hours. So it's just kind of a natural end to things. So with that, let's get into the scenario description. The Battle of Pelennor Fields. The siege of Minas Tirith is reaching its peak. Hundreds of orcs, trolls, and servants of the Dark Lord have swarmed into the streets of the White City, flooding them with a sea of ruthless and callous beings that will stop at nothing to see the city fall. Those that have been tasked with the defence of Minas Tirith find themselves desperately fighting for survival as huge numbers of orcs overwhelm the defenders of the city, and as the battle continues, the situation is becoming increasingly dire. Yet even as the city looks lost, help is at hand. From the north, the sounds of horns can be heard ringing out across the crisp morning air, a sound which heralds the arrival of Theoden and the riders of Rohan. With shields at the ready and the tips of their spears gleaming in the morning sunlight, the riders of Rohan charge down the hill of the Pelennor towards the ranks of Morannon orcs standing between them and Minas Tirith. With the armies of Mordor forced to focus their attentions upon the Rohirrim that threaten to break through their ranks, Prince Imrahil leads the remaining defenders of Minas Tirith as they surge out of the city gates to drive back their foes. From the south, Aragorn leads his loyal companions, a contingent of grim-faced rangers from the north, and a shadowed host of long-dead warriors more deadly than any other force in Middle-earth to relieve the siege of the White City. However, even as the forces of Mordor look to be on the back foot at long last, the armies of evil men arrive. Rank upon rank of Easterlings, Carndish and Haradrim march to war upon the Pelennor, their lumbering war beasts in tow. The arrival of the fearsome war Mumakil of the Haradrim are the catalyst that will plunge all of those upon the Pelennor into the greatest battle of the Third Age.
Hi, I'm Thomas, I'm playing Rohan.
Hi, I'm James, I'm playing Grey Company.
I'm Tom, I'm playing Gondor and Fiefdoms.
Go.
Okay, so I'm controlling Mordor, which means I'm probably not far away from getting steamrolled. Scott is my assistant, he has Mr. Gurit, who's trying to hold up the Grey Company at the docks of Harlon. And then Cam and Charles, you're kind of both controlling evil men, aren't you? So you've got Khan and Easterlings, and then depending on who dies the quickest, we're going to split up the elephants later on, I think. So,
And camels.
and camels, yeah.
More camels.
Lots of camels.
Lots of camels.
Okay, so this is the state of play at deployment. So you've got the orcs forming a bit of conga line in the middle, trying to present a defensive line to Rohan and Minas Tirith. Then you've got the evil men formed on their right, and then you've got Rohan, who have just come on 6 inches onto the board edge. So they're deployed in a big line with their heroes in the middle, riders on either side, 2 ranks deep. So yeah, they've got to come in and deal with all these men and orcs here. As you'll see, the chariots are kind of, as you'll see, the Khand are kind of forming a second line there with the Khandish chariots ready to sort of come out and cause some trouble when the time is right. And then you've got all the Khandish and Easterling horsemen on the right ready to try and roll up the Rohirrim. Over here you've got Gurits and 12 orcs, basically what would be the docks of Harlands, trying to hold up the Grey Company, who have just come on over there. Grey Company kind of deployed in no particular way other than for Aragorn to get everyone in a march bubble. We have put our Khandish archers and Easterlings over there. Tom's brought his Rohan here. Technically they come on at the end of good movement in turn 1. Obviously could always win priority in turn 1 and nobody's calling any heroics, so we just let them deploy immediately in the interest of time. And that's it. So with that we're going to get into the game. Okay, so a quick discussion on tactics whilst we're getting movement underway here. As an evil team, we had a quick conversation about how we were going to try and win this mission and, get 3 out of the 5 objectives. It seemed early on that controlling the gate was probably going to be a no-no because it's just quite tucked away at the back. So we were going to focus mainly on the 2 hero objectives, so killing enemy heroes, protecting our own, just making sure we played correctly to get those key models safe or killed as the case may be. Protect at least one of those Murmacs or those 2 VPs, and then see where we were in terms of controlling the battlefield. In terms of the good team, obviously their extra mobility helps them with the Pelennor objective, holding the 4 corners. Obviously they have a strong start to try and hold that gate, and then just picking up one of the hero or Mumakil objectives seems like the way to go. So as we're getting movement underway here, you could see that Thomas has stuck himself 6 inches away from us. so that if we evil players do get priority next turn, we're not going to be in a position to countercharge him with much more than a few cav units. In terms of our movement, we're sort of just opening up a few little gaps for potential chariots and sort of shuffling our cav across a little bit. And to the rear, the Grey Company is just marching up really. Right, so over here, Grey Company has marched up. No death from shooting, so pretty uneventful over here. In the middle, Tom's formally come on with his Gondor. Over here, not much has happened really. We dehorsed 3 riders. One was with a troll throwing a stone, so that was pretty cool. But overall, just setting up for the next turn really. So we've got priority roll here, so Scott's going to roll priority. 1, which is not great for us. Tom Rice going to roll for the good team. And there's the 1. So priority goes to evil. So getting into turn 2 movement, obviously the evil side 1 priority this time. Not sure that necessarily actually suited us because we could only charge some Rohan with some horses, so we did do that and wrapped around there. Other than that, we sort of shifted our formation a bit to the right, basically moved those orcs to try and block those Rohirrim a bit more. Scott had sort of moved forwards in the previous turn towards the Grey Company, then moved back, so they were out of combat for a second turn. Then the Rohan just sort of getting stuck in. They sort of left the left flank to fend for itself a little bit, chucked in what riders they could. I think the only heroes that got in Dalehelm, Dalewine and Elfhelm, but you know, setting up a whole bunch of combats basically. And setting up the rest of the Rohan ready to charge in the next turn. So over here you can see the Grey Company a turn away from getting involved, shooting, did a little bit of damage, killed a Warrior of the Dead and took 2 fate off Legolas, which you can see James is super pleased about. Obviously as you can see Tom just moving up in the middle there with his Gondor. And then over here you can see, you know, we got some charges off with our cav down here. Thomas then getting his Rohan stuck in up there. So a lot of combats to get through in the fight phase and a lot of heroic combats as well. Right, so into combat, straight out the gates you can see the Rohan have been surrounded by the sort of Carnage and Easterling horsemen on the right, struggling quite badly. Quite a few of them taken off. There wasn't a complete walkover over there. You'll see that I actually don't have a lot of stuff involved really. My trolls are hanging out at the back to make sure I don't get combated into. Gothmog and the heroes behind the main line. It is just the warriors taking the brunt of it. You can see obviously Thomas getting a whole bunch of combats off. Obviously that's as per scenario special rule, which means any charging Rohan model, so that's cavalry or on foot, which is pretty bananas, can call heroic combat for free. So that's why you can see a whole bunch of murdering and then moving and then more murdering. So quite a bloody opening to the battle really. Okay, so state of the play at the end of that turn, Grey Company not in combat, Gondor not in combat, but you know, potentially kicking off next turn. Doing quite well over here, getting quite a few Rohan off the board and getting the likes of Amdur and the chariots in position for future turns. So that's not too bad for us, but over here took more of a beating. We did manage to get all of Dalewine's might off of him, although he'll get 1 back through the magic flag. Again, Elfhelm bounced off, managed to get his fate off of him as well. So that was pretty spicy, but actually Orcs taking a bit of a pounding there. So probably a sign of things to come, but that's the state of the board at the end of that turn. So state of play at the beginning of turn 3, evil win priority. So that forces Thomas to call a move with Elfhelm. We counter with Gothmog for free using Master of Battle. Grey Company call a free move with Aragorn, choosing not to counter with Guritz on our part. So Thomas has no might on his left flank, so we don't need to worry too much about moves over there. Roll-off goes to evil, so Gothmog's moving first. So obviously Gothmog's staying still, but we're trying to move as many of those orcs and evil men as we can to tie up the Rohan already sort of amongst our line. Can't quite reach the back line, but it's not too much of a problem just yet. We clean up with a couple of chariots, so and starting to wrap around there on our right flank. So we're trying to clean up those Rohan warriors who's all been left without a hero to cover them. And I sort of started to think about where I want my troll, so I'm putting that troll in on the right flank. And then we're basically started to move to consider how we're going to sort of block out Gondor. At the back, just the Grey Company charging all our orcs. It suits us because we're not taking courage tests then. And as you can see, Rohan really getting in, a lot of the big hitters going in. Then the Knights of Lamroth forming up, ready for the charge, and then obviously just taking 10 business days to move all those Gondor guys from the gate to get them into the action. Right, so here's the state of play at the end of the shoot phase. Nothing too exciting happening down here. I think we lost a warrior, killed a Dunedain who fluffed his fate roll. You can see the dead starting to wrap around a bit there. Nothing too exciting there, but you can see the Gondor starting to come out. I missed with the rock from the troll. You can see state of play here, Gothmog counter-charging. We're trying to sort of wrap around there. You can see Gothmog sort of pushing up on that line, sort of where I'm pointing there. But some counter-charging going on with Eomer and friends. Again, it looks like it's going to be scary next turn, aside from this turn also being scary. Right, so going into the fight phase, you can see the action is pretty Rohan-centric again. We sort of make our way through the heroic combats. You can see there's really some orcs starting to go down here, which is not great for us. But you know, they're orcs, they're meant to die. However, attention to turn to the Rohan's left flank, and I think we really start cleaning up here, and I think that's going to it's going to help us a lot, because then we can start moving our cav around, and that's really going to be what helps mitigate Rohan for us. However, you can really see those orcs in the middle, sort of, you know, just coming apart, and our line's sort of disintegrating a bit too quickly, really, for my taste. We're already relying on our sort of Khand warriors in the back line, and you know, the threat of some of the heroes to keep them at bay. But overall, you know, a lot of Rohan and evil models going down, so it's quite a bloody fight phase here. Okay, so here's the board. At the end of the fight phase, the Grey Company killing one orc and losing one more of the dead. That's really not what you want to hear. I think they need to be sort of catapulting themselves up the board here at combating off stuff, but they just stalled this turn, so that could be pretty major, losing out on a turn. But as you sort of waft over here again, no fighting over here really, just waiting for next turn to get stuck in there. Over here, like I said, we're sort of cleaning up a bit here, not too many Rohan left, no heroes in that direction. Over here, both Dernhelm and Theoden whiffed, so Theoden we got all 3 might and a fate. Dernhelm got off relatively scot-free, but we did have some whiffs, but the warriors were really doing the work. You can see there's a whole gap in my line there where orcs used to be. Right, so evil team really catching another break here. Good actually do win priority, but we call it heroic with Gothmog using the Enforcer's Will, gambling counters. Gurrit also calls, but goes to evil, so obviously we get to move, we get to tag everyone in the middle. I think that includes a lot of the big heroes, Gambling Elfhelm, Daelwyn, Theoden, Dernhelm all tagged. So we're able to sort of blunt that charge again. In the back, Gurrit just sort of forms a bit of a semicircle to try and stop the Grey Company, you know, completely trapping the whole line. Again, this sort of falls fairly perfectly for us again. We're not too worried about the Rohan in the left, in their left flank. Dol Amroth come in, we can't really do much about it. Imrahil and Eomer getting in there, but it does mean we have an opportunity to react. So it means we're able to sort of pick our combats a bit more, load up stuff as and when, and I'm able to flip a troll around the side as well. So that's quite helpful. But yeah, again, just getting very lucky there, blunting a lot of the Rohan just through another roll-off going our way. And shooting not too eventful, so we moved up our archers towards the Grey Company for what it's worth. But not too much shooting coming in from the good side. So end of the shoot phase here. We've got a bunch of stuff lined up with the Grey Company, expecting a bunch of combat. Gurrit isn't long for this world, I think we can all see that. It's got to be the turn that flank collapses, I think, for the evil side. Dol Amroth getting involved with some dudes. So yeah, getting the knights in, getting Imrahil in. You can see a strike combat a mile off, but you can probably also see my hurl a mile off too. We really stick it to Rohan here, sort of counter-charging, getting a troll into Daewine, Gothmog into Elfhelm, and then holding up the other heroes with just some chaff really. So that's it, into the fight phase. Okay, so diving into fight phase of turn 4. You can really get a good sense of the battlefield from this shot really. So you can see Gondor very much untapped at this point. Only got a few knights in combat, so not too bad. I am quite worried about them. So you can see here my left flank collapsing, but also the Rohan left flank collapsing. So it's going to be a bit of an odd one where it's a bit of a maelstrom in the middle, with multiple flanks collapsing and sort of moving in on each other to reinforce the middle. So it promises to be quite interesting. Gondor have so much infantry, totally untapped at this point, struggling to get in. That lack of march really hurting them there. Again, yeah, you can see a lot of Knights of Dol Amroth untapped there as well. A lot of evil cavalry and chariots pretty much untouched as well. In the back there you can see, probably see the Grey Company removing a whole bunch of orcs, which is obviously pretty worrying. It looks like there's not too much in the way between them and the main force, which is going to be bad news for us. But you can see as well that it's going to be interesting when the elephants arrive next turn. But yeah, in terms of general sense of the battle, I feel like it looks like Good have the upper hand now, but it's all to play for still. Right, so end of the fight phase. You can see the Grey Company's just absolutely walked through those orcs. There's almost none left. That's not good news for us. I was hoping it'll last a bit longer, but not surprising to be honest. Again, Gondor just moving up. That gate's very much under their control. The Blackroot Vale archers going to be in position soon. Here we lined up a nice hurl, but Eomer and Elfhelm combated out of the way. We did barge into them with the troll, which worked nicely until we rolled a 5. Imrahil rolled a 6. Troll took a wound, not great for us. Gothmog's combat failed to go off when Elfhelm defensed. We did beat Dernhelm and trapped him, but somehow it just didn't convert. And then we got obviously our sort of reserves over here where we've polished off those Rohan. The other Rohan did okay. You can see Rohan really thinning here along with the orcs. Again, the orcs aren't too essential for us, but I think a lack of Rohan warriors is going to hurt, even if the heroes are sort of mostly okay. Right, so start turn 5. Obviously the Mumakil have come on. Mahud's not quite come on yet. So over here, I can't remember who won priority, but we've got Imrahil and Goroth calling moves, and then Gothmog and Gamlin calling moves. So evil side won, so we went with Gothmog just to tie up as much Rohan as we could, but then that obviously means whilst it's looking pretty over here, on the other side we've got a lot of Dol Amroth, just crushing those orcs there. Grey Company moving up onto the bow line. Some guys hanging back to deal with this Mumak which deployed behind them, which is an interesting move by Scott to try and split the Grey Company from everyone else. And then myself and Charlie brought our Mumaks on here just to kind of go straight down the middle and see what we can do. So that's the state of play. Again, we're continuing to roll up on the right, but there's a lot of dudes between us and the gate. So apologies, like I said at the start of the video, I have a bit of a problem here at the top of the video, but you can still see plenty of the battlefield. So we're just sort of going through the motions with movement here. Mumak's just moving on with the Mahud and Haradrim cavalry. The Abrakan Guard keeping Scott's Mumak company at the back towards the Grey Company. We're just starting to move our right up around to try and sort of roll up the Rohirrim. Fiefdom's basically doing the same on the other side. Obviously there's a lot of strategic putting in of Rohirrim into Dol Amroth combats to make sure they get the free heroics that sort of fling everyone further down the table. So you can see they've loaded up the troll with Imrahil and Aemir, so that's going to be a free combat along with a strike potentially. Then you can see the fiefdoms warriors starting to come in on foot as well. Minas Tirith still just forming up in front of the gate at this point. We swap over to just a view of how it's set up. Sort of, I think it's probably about halfway through the fight phase or towards the beginning of it. So I'm sort of distracted doing other stuff, which is why the camera's a bit bananas. But yeah, just to get a sense of it, just like I said, really, that's sort of how we're set up at this point. Blackroot Vale perfectly set up to intercept mine and Charlie's Mumax. Got a bit of weirdness going on here with the Rangers not too sure which way to face. But that's it. So into the fight. Okay, so making our way through shooting. Don't think any notable wounds on the Mumax. I think our Haradrim archers are out of range, as are the Blackroot Vale archers. I think there are a few Ranger of the North shots, but sort of fairly inconsequential. Fight phase just really continuing the theme of where Rohan have charged, they're doing well. Where they're not doing so well. So. Big news though was, in fact, I think Aemir and Imrahil potentially double striked against the troll. So played it safe, not calling the combat. Troll went down, which is pretty sad. And I'm pretty sure that just leaves me with Gothmog, his enforcer, actually a couple of orcs. Because obviously I lost Goroth as well. I think he basically spaffed all his might up the wall and didn't get anywhere. But as you'll see, we're sort of starting to move the chariots and Amda around to get in a better position. Ghosts at the back, not doing too much work against the Khand. And as a general overview, so I think we lost Elfhelm. Not sure any other heroes died. So the theme is that all the major heroes are untouched, really. They're lasting very well. We're losing a few other sort of peripheral heroes, but nothing too bad. And again, the theme of the Grey Company not pushing up as quickly as they need to, sort of continuing a bit here too. So that's it, the end of turn 5. Okay, so we got an evil priority, gambling calls and move. We counter for free with Gothmog's Master of Battle. This one actually goes to good, which is surprising. So Rohan basically charge in and bring as many knights of Dol Amroth as they can. They sort of charge one of the chariots, try and block out another from doing too much. So we sort of counter just by, setting the chariots up for potential charges in future turns. Troll's just stuck fighting Daelwine again, obviously the other troll having died. So yeah, it's obviously just a big swirling melee in the middle. Mumax obviously move up, cavalry keep pace with them rather than thundering ahead. Try to charge the Mumax into Warriors of the Dead. Their courage is appalling, so we don't get many of those off, unfortunately. And then if we move to the shoot phase, the Rangers of the North actually cause a few wounds on Scott's Mumac over on our far left. So they'll be on courage tests next to it, which is obviously not how I want to start the game, especially if it's close to both the board edge and our entire line of Abrakan Guard. Yes, that's pretty much it. So it's going to be obviously quite an intense fight phase. So we're just going to move over to an overview of the board here. You just see here, obviously Army of the Dead pretty heavily involved there. Gondor relatively unengaged. Obviously just a massive maelstrom over on our right with Rohan and what's left. I have almost no Mordor left. I have 3 orcs. I remember to call Time of the Orc has come though, so that's good. Obviously we've got all these, all the green bands of heroic combats from Rohan. I master a battle one with Gothmog, but they win the roll off, so they basically get in and neutralise Gothmog's heroic combat first. Again, some of the clansmen, etc., starting to get involved. Blackroot Vale set up nicely. We've got combat from Aragorn down here, so obviously he's going to chop up some Mahud. I think that's finally starting to clear off all those archers. The Grey Company clearing off our archers, I mean. And that's it, so continuing with the fight phase. So in terms of the fight phase, whilst a very visually impressive display, is actually fairly uneventful. Rohan and the evil men just trading blows here. No key pieces die. The troll, the chariots, the heroes, they're all fine. Just lose a few warriors. And over on the other side, Aragorn slaps a couple of Mahud, so Again, not too important. A lot of it's about setting up for the next turn, really. Obviously, the Mumak sort of moving up into position, and then obviously just key heroes getting ready to try and work on those Servants of Sauron and Heroes of the West objectives and take some key pieces off the board in the coming turns, and also just preparing for the arrival of the Witch King in the following turn. So yeah, a lot of dice rolling, but ultimately doesn't really affect the overall balance of power at the moment. So start of turn 7 and the arrival of the Witch King. Either win priority, which is pretty important in terms of the Witch King coming on, and in terms of that Mumak needing courage test. It's just a maelstrom in the middle. Gondor have that gate pretty much locked down. So into turn 7. Okay, so start of turn 7. So obviously either win priority, because we always do. So in terms of heroics, we got Aragorn and I can't remember which Rohan here, but one of them calling a Master of Battle with Gothmog, and then the Golden King counters as well. After some debate, it goes to the Grey Company to move first to avoid Aragorn being hooded. So it just means we sort of nullify the remaining Rohirrim charge. I think they've lost 2/3 of their riders now, but have most of their heroes left. But we managed to dehorse Durnhelm with a impact hit from a chariot. So that's all good. So most of the main heroes still alive in the middle. We sort of start trying to load up some combats, try and get our heroes in positions where they can combat into stuff. I was trying to leverage the troll to sort of line up a cheeky hurl on Theoden, or potentially a barge. So you can see it's absolute chaos here. So we've got Sully moving up for banner shenanigans along with his serpent riders. And again, we're sort of moving the Mumaks up. So this is mid-move phase still, but we've moved all the stuff over here. So moving over to the Grey Company, all these rangers in position to line up shots on that Mumak. Grey Company really getting in on those camels, and then we've got a lone orc here go for that backup objective. Somehow he's still alive. Moving back, so Gondor protecting the gate still. However, I may have erred slightly. In my haste to bring the Witch King on, I compelled someone forwards and charged them. It turns out Angbor the Fearless is actually fearless, so he went in on the Witch King with all his buddies, and now it's just a straight strike off. I do have the charge bonus, but if I lose that, that's potentially curtains for the Witch King. But yeah, Gondor, their infantry ready to hold the line to defend the gate, keep that objective safe. So just continuing the movement. So what's interesting is the Dol Amroth lining up for another charge, trying to get Éomer and Imrahil back in. Gondor do push up away from the gate to try and intercept the Mumaks. I think it's just a case of trying to blunt their charge by taking some hits or winning a roll-off potentially, and just getting in and really hurting the Mumaks in one go. So going over to the shoot phase, nothing too exciting apart from Scott's Mumak, which has become Cam's Mumak because Scott had to Brexit at this point. Takes more wounds from shooting from the Rangers, which is sad. Blackroot Vale shooting not too effective at this point. Right, to start a fight phase, we got Amber calling off combat over here, otherwise pretty quiet. At the back, obviously, we've got Angbor striking against the Witch King. Over Grey Company, we've got Aragorn and potentially one or two others, if memory serves, calling combats. So that's it, so into the fight phase. Right, so in terms of the fight phase, got Amber combating off of Gambling, who's out of might, so there's no heroic defense to save him. He's got Gothmog helping, so they successfully kill Gambling. I think Gothmog sort of ends up fairly stuck where he is, but Amber then gets into Merry and making that Blood and Glory work for him. Theoden gets Rider Rohan hurled at him by the troll, so that gets him off Snowmane, which is very handy. Again, just stuff sort of, dying attritionally over there. We've got the Serpent Riders ready to get involved quite soon though. Good side running out of sort of cavalry reserves a bit, but they have managed to get some Fiefdoms infantry in. Not much evil infantry left at this point, to be honest. But those fiefdoms have to run a gauntlet of bowfire, which is sort of picking off a few of the clansmen, etc. I think towards the back of the board, the Grey Company just really taking Mahud after Mahud off of the board. But they have got some African Guard coming their way potentially next turn, so that could be trouble later on. Right, so state of play at the end of the fight phase. Again, you can see more carnage in the middle, but more men on each side ready to get in. I got off super lightly over here because I won the strike off against Angbor, starting both for fight 5, so I killed him and some clansmen. Over here you can see Amdur killing Gambling and then killing Merry afterwards, so getting that blood and glory. Over here, Grey Company really thinning us out over here, not good. Right, so good priority this time. Forces us to use a point of Gothmog's natural might to call a move, because the enforcers kind of floated out of range, unfortunately. Eowyn counters over here. Over there, someone from the Grey Company, and then the Golden King also call. Good team decide to let Eowyn go first, just because I think they were sort of less worried about a few impact hits on Aragorn, and probably the camels failing to charge the Warriors of the Dead, more worried about the left flank collapsing if Evil got a good charge off. So it was just a case of them charging all their big hitters in, trying to get combats off, trying to block out our big heroes. There's a Troll and Gothmog in the middle they're trying to block out, while sort of trying to keep Theoden alive on foot. I think we lost a chariot at the end of the last turn, so obviously just countering our chariot as well. In terms of Evil, the back Mumax floating back towards us, the two main Mumax in the middle heading pretty much for the gate, ignoring the sort of maelstrom on their right. We're being conservative with the Khandish King because he's worth victory points, so he's a bit underutilised here. And moving over to the state of play here, you can see that it's obviously just chaos, but we have lined up one notable thing. Obviously we've got Suladan just being banner support at this point, but we do have a combat ready to go to get into Theoden with Gothmog and that Troll. That's our big play this turn. Imrahil and Amber not doing too much. Obviously we're ready for here in the middle. It's going to be a case of probably heroic move-offs with those two Mumax. Obviously they've got Ingold in the middle there, ready to call a move and try and charge and pin down the Mumax. You can see he's hiding in the middle. I think he got missed by the Evil team. He didn't realise he was there. Witch King got charged, not too unexpected. And that's it really. Right, so shooting turn 8. It's not a great turn for Evil because the Blackroot Vale Archers put 3 wounds on the War Leader, and then Leggy spent 2 might to put a wound or 2, I can't remember now, on the back Mumax. So sort of chipping away at those wounds there. And the Haradrim Archers returned fire and took off a few bits of infantry, but nothing too consequential. Into the fight phase, obviously we call it heroic with Gothmog to try and get him onto Theoden. But to be honest, some skillful work from the good team sees both Gothmog and the Troll getting paired off of Theoden. And then just in sort of general terms, quite an inconsequential turn. Both sides lose a bit of cav in sort of the middle, but nothing too crazy happens, to be honest. At the back, the Grey Company is just absolutely ripping through the Mahud. The Guard of Abrakan, I think a couple of them get involved and sort of die pretty quickly. So we've got very little presence over that side of the table. At the back, the Witch King wins combat despite not getting the charge bonus. I think I had to spend 1 point of might to win that one. I think I kill a couple of clansmen, so nothing too crazy. So you can see the state of play over here by the Grey Company. The Rangers deployed an anti-Moonmap formation, but there's a lot of dead and Grey Company, not very much in the way of evil models over here. Golden King's in a lot of trouble, and obviously he's one of the heroes we're trying to protect. So overall, things going pretty badly over there for us. this is going to be massive. Next turn, obviously this was nothing to do with the fight phase this turn. Moving over here, nothing, again, like I said, nothing too consequential happened, but despite getting peeled off, despite the troll and Gothmog getting peeled off, the two Easterling captains stayed in with Theoden. As you can see, there is no Theoden anymore, and that's because they killed him. So that was pretty crazy. So Theoden is down, which is massive in terms of the Rohan fight bonus, and also in terms of victory points. Obviously that powers up Éomer and Éowyn, so that's slightly scary, but a big win for the evil side there. And obviously you can see the Witch King at the back, looking pretty, really. Okay, so at the start of this turn, evil win priority, so after some deliberation, 4 long counters, so he should be able to tag both the Mumax and then a whole bunch of warriors. So we counter with Gothmog, he's a master of battle, and I think we also use an Easterling captain if memory serves. So that's kind of what's happening in the foreground. So at the back Mumak fails the Stampede courage test on a Snake Eyes and completely stomps all the Abrakan Guard, and also lumbers towards the Grey Company who's waiting there with the king. So that's not good. So they all get into him. So back to the foreground, we put Gothmog into Éowyn. Amder's getting involved as well. We're loading up a combat at the back with the king on chariot. Spoiler alert: we forget to call it in the fight phase. We put the troll into Éomer. Basically he's a bit of a throwaway at this point, but if we can get Éomer off his horse, win that combat, what have you, that'll be very handy. But equally, Éomer is not combating off of him. You can see the middle Mumax just absolutely stomp the Minas Tirith infantry, so we kill Ingold in one go, and then there's only 4 warriors of Minas Tirith left. Rather than try and tag the Mumax, since they've already gone, they charge cavalry behind. So here during the move phase, you can see the Grey Company are very much in on that Mumak, including King of the Dead. So that's very bad for us. There's almost nothing left over here. There's just a few raiders who are probably going to get shot off their horses very soon. So this area of the board is very much under sort of good control here, and they're just sort of mopping up, as you can see. So not good for not a good day to be evil. Witch King at the back just charging back in. So he lost the combat but didn't take a wound last turn. And obviously here, the Mumax, you can see they've just absolutely annihilated, like I said. So that was a lot of lucky rolls. There's the Witch King just chilling at the back. So you can see next turn, those Mumax are going to be in a good spot to crush those archers as well, with no heroes there. And here you can just sort of see the scene as I described here. So again, just finishing up movement. I think those Haradrim cavalry are sort of swinging it back in our favour a bit. I think until they came back in, it was looking like all the good heroes would continue to chop their way through, but not so sure now. So yeah, just finishing up the move here. Positioning is becoming more and more important, but unfortunately I can't go into too much detail, otherwise it'll be a very long video, but that's why the movement's taken so long. So that's it, into the shoot. Right, so we took a little while to get going here in this fight fair for some reason. I guess we were sort of running out of steam since it's turn 9. But at the back off camera, the Witch King wins his combat without any real trouble. Grey Company do very well against the remnants of the Haradrim over there. Big news is at the back, the Mumako is beaten in combat, but the King of the Dead totally whiffs. So they only end up doing 1 wound, and it's not the King of the Dead, so his Drain Soul doesn't come into effect. So that Mumak is still alive and kicking, which is really not what is needed right now. Over in the foreground, there's not too much excitement going on. I think just it's mostly cav on cav at this point, and obviously we managed to shut down a lot of the Rohan combats through winning priority and then the roll off. A couple of key things though were obviously just riders going down on both sides, but we lose the non-king chariot. Amder also manages to combat. I think he combats off Merry, and kills Eowyn, but he manages to. In fact, sorry, Merry's already dead. He basically kills Eowyn. He manages to bait the last strike out of Imrahil, so that Elven Blade really coming in clutch there. Other than that, it's all a bit a bit sort of standard in that all the heroes are alive and kicking. Nothing too crazy happens. We do forget to call a combat with the King's Chariot, which would have been super duper handy, but it's not the end of the world. Eomer is right next to Gothmog, which is not what I want, as is Hurin. But we've got Sully, Amdur and Gothmog all right next to each other, as well as the King. And then as we sort of move over here, obviously the Mumbakil weren't in the fight, but just in front of them, despite being charged, the cavalry sort of survive and kill a random Gondorian, so that was pretty good. Over here, obviously just absolutely crushing for the Grey Company, not killing that Mumak. If it was me, I'd have tried to combat off him as well, so it's pretty lucky they didn't, I suppose. Witch King just at the back doing his thing, not really in trouble. There are very few Haradrim now over here. It's not looking great for that side of the board, but that's the state of play at the end of turn 9. So into turn 10, Eva win priority again. So Hurin calls a move. We end up countering with Sully rather than using Master of Battle. That's just a positioning thing more than anything. At the back, Aragorn calls a move to try and get some ghosty boys in to tie up that back Mumak. But the Mumak calls. So good win and choose to move the Rohirrim first. Or mostly probably Knights of Dol Amroth at this point, to be honest. But so they're just tying up key heroes, getting Imrahil into Amdur as well. And then Gothmog, so obviously hoping to win that roll off there. Hurin just sort of messing about at the back really. Eomer obviously is tagging some cav, boxing out the King on Chariot as well is obviously very important. At the back, the Mumak passes the test and Stampede test, and he squishes a bunch of Rangers and finishes off Leggy. And then moving to the normal evil move, Witch King gets into the last few guys around the gate. Charlie's Mumak squishes the Blackroot Vale archers. My Mumak goes in and squishes most of the Gondorian archers, sort of moving towards the gate. So that's it. Obviously, a very good turn for all three Mumaks. And so you can see the state of play here. Potentially lining up a combat with Sully and the Candish King, maybe to swing round, try and take out some of those key heroes. I've got some random Gondorians left in the middle that the Mumak's missed. Over here, I think there's probably curtains for that Mumak, to be fair. As you can see, the Witch King at the back and the other two Mumaks doing pretty well. So probably going to be taking that gate objective, you'd have thought. But yes, this Mumak and the remaining evil men over here have probably had it, because you've got the King and some other boys in there. Right, so we tried to gear this fight phase up to be a big one. So we're trying to combat with the King and Sully, sort of get around and potentially kill Hurin, maybe some other stuff. So basically that botched, and the Spawn Knight ended up dehorsing Suladan, which was mildly humiliating. We managed to get Imrahil down to 1 wound, 2 fate, as we won that combat there with Amdur. At the back, Hurin and Eomer just dropping some stuff up, so the middle kind of just following that trend of not many heroes dying, but a lot of warriors dying. Basically, good and evil have not too much left, but it's mostly cavalry left alive. And then at the back, sort of inevitably, that Mumak finally goes down to the King of the Dead and friends. And then the Witch King has another good turn and kills all but one dudes by the gate. But obviously, as per the rules, they're still contested. So here's the end of the fight phase. So you can see Sully there on his butt. But so many big heroes left alive, especially sort of relative to the number of warriors and sort of how many started the game. Not many warriors, not much cav left in the grand scheme of things, but a lot of heroes. Obviously you can see there the Witch King with one random fiefdom dude left alive. Over here, totally sort of cleaned up really, but equally the Grey Company pretty out of position, not going to have much of an impact on turn 11. So we're going to move into the last turn now, so on to turn 11. Right, so last turn of the game, Evil win priority. I think Aragorn calls a move at the back because at this point, why not? And he charges the last like Mahud or two. But they're so out of position, they're not going to have much influence on the game now. In the middle, we try and kill Imrahil, so we put Amdur and Gothmog into him. And basically we need to sort of combat, get round and kill Hurin, and that's the only way we can score that objective. We really have to kill both of those heroes in this one turn. Good team, just trying to tag stuff off basically, and sort of block us from getting to their heroes at the back. Yeah, and that's it pretty much. The Mumax move up, one towards one of the four corners objective, one towards the gatehouse. I think potentially there's a couple of marches in there as well. Witch King charges that final Fiefdoms warrior by the gate. So here's sort of a summary of things. So you can see there's not much stuff left in there, but there's still so many sort of main heroes. You've got Eomer, Imrahil, Hurin, and then all of our guys still. Obviously Grey Company here. They're pretty untapped in terms of might as well, which might have been handy in the middle. Obviously Witch King hopefully going to polish that guy off after a 10 dice black dart fails to kill him. So just about to do shooting. We're going to try and shoot these two off the objective, and that's how we score it. Yeah, so we get some hits, do some rolling. So we get two sixes, so we need fours here to finish them off. We get 1-4, so we kill one. So that objective's pretty much neutralised because we both have one model within, can't remember if it's 3 or 6 of it. But that's the state of play. Okay, so last fight phase of the game could be fairly important. However, Gothmog's been split off, so it's him versus Imrahil 1-on-1. Obviously, if we win the fight, that could be good for us, but we don't, we lose. Imrahil obviously can't kill Gothmog, so that kind of doesn't matter. Hurin has charged in and struck against Suladan, who's had to strike. In retrospect, a defence may have made more sense, but that's not how we roll apparently. But either way, we get very lucky. Suladan wins the strike off and then also kills Hurin, which is a pretty crazy outcome. Bearing in mind Hurin was charging with a mastercrafted sword, so that was lucky. Other than that, Eomer, Khandish King and Amdur all win their combats against like random warriors, so that kind of neutralises at the end. No other notable combats really. We sort of start talking about the course of the game really, and how important our deployment was, and how there's not actually much evil left stuff on the board. So if we sort of continue indefinitely, then it's probably good for the good team. But we don't. We finish here. Also, I forgot to mention at the back, the Witch King obviously failed to kill that one random dude with a black dart, but we do charge in and kill him in combat. So the Witch King's sort of uncontested at the end of the game by the gate. I forget to do one final pan of the battlefield at the end, but you can sort of see the state of things here and how they all end. So that's it. That's the end of the game. So let's get into the post game where we talk about victory points and all that sort of stuff. Okay guys, so not many models left on the board by the end of the game. So just a quick rundown of objectives. So the first one was Heroes of the West. We only killed 3 out of the 7, so we were 1 away, thank you. So we killed Legolas and Theoden, and Hurin failed to kill Imrahil, Eomer, Gimli and Aragorn. So we scored that one. So from the good team, only the Golden King died, so we scored that. It's travesty. And then the Muma kill, we had 2 left at the end of the game, so we scored that. And then the Gates of Minas Tirith, Witch King was basically on his own there with a Mumak friend, so we scored that one. Pelennor, I think that one was a bit of a wash because we had a Mumak, but the guys in the Howler are a bit far away, so we kind of called that neutral. Yeah. They scored 2, we scored 1, so that goes to the good side. So I make that 3-2.
3-2.
So
it felt worse than.
Yeah. Right. So where did it go wrong, good players? Basically, I think the roll-offs. So we won 3 roll-offs, didn't we?
In a turn. I think we had like 4 priority. You had priority.
Yeah, the priority.
And then it was losing the priority. Losing it just like.
Yeah. And obviously you'll notice we lost James and Scott along the way, but I think James left in disgrace, didn't he? Because it was the Grey Company not pulling their weight. I guess as soon as he left, that's what we agreed.
Yeah. Let it be known.
And then evil side, there's just
just played the perfect game, so there's nothing else to say, is there?
I had one can model left.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I had one orc. No, I had 2 orcs. It was Gothmogs and Forza.
No, I can't reach too much, to be honest, because Rohan did kill a lot.
Yeah, you did like clear
a lot.
I actually think the evil men came in clutch because
Yeah.
I kind of totally underestimated it. So I was like, Rohan's going to walk through me, but actually it was like the evil men sort of rolling up.
Yeah,
that kind of saved.
well, chariots are anti-cavalry anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, they definitely deserve on a legacy list.
I did a couple of good ones. They bumped against the Knights of Pelennor.
Yeah, they did alright, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's right when you can get the priority and then you're getting the charge off of Rohan Cav.
Yeah,
that's what scuffed us on that
Yeah,
side.
I think so.
Because that combat, because when they charged, we sort of had great plans of synergising. But
I think basically a few things went our way. Like our tramples were kind of flawless in the middle, so we basically just it was mad how many we killed. So the tramples went well. Witch King, I put him in a really stupid position and just got out of it through a bit of luck, and then again that could have been the Witch King dead and that back objective secured, and then that would have tipped it. That one thing alone. So it's close game.
In the fight for that strike either. When that strike.
I know. I lucked out basically, but that's fine. But yeah, we're all kind of ready for bed now. So
I think I was 8 hours.
8 hours a game. Yeah. But the video won't be 8 hours. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We want to play Battle of 5 Armies in the future, so stay tuned and we may end up doing that.